I usually go into people's videos just believing that they know they believe everything they're saying. They come with the best intentions and they just understand what they're talking about. I mean, Upper Echelon's last video kind of made me like, yeah, I guess he views it this way. But I mean, I'm going by the channel, and it's like I do kind of agree with this. Like, there's so many like slop channels popping up and using AI, and like you're not going to know if the product is actually made by a person or by computer generation. It's very weird. And there's another video about the Numi situation, about how a bunch of either people online, like in other countries, making sexualized content of VTubers. But let's give this one a watch.
This video is brought to you by Saley. Stick around to hear more about the special offer they're providing to the entire Upper Echelon community. Okay, just to get something out of the way right off the bat here, the title isn't clickbait. Anyone watching this, in particular any established YouTube creator who's ever had their content stolen by AI slop channels or websites, which is a growing issue for the platform at large, but also anyone who wants to do this for fun as well, you can effectively poison these channels. And if enough people start doing it, we might even be able to poison the actual language models themselves, which are constantly scraping YouTube videos for training data. That's kind of unlikely, but hey, I'm allowed to dream, aren't I?
I mean, even official companies, government organizations are doing this. Like, AI is the future and new technology, and there's really nothing that can be done about it. Like, I'm very much an accelerationist on this. It's going to happen. The AI is here and it's going to get better. I'd rather the US has the technology because at least then we can regulate it. It's like if we don't have it, another country will have it. They'll do it for a third of the price, and they can pirate it to other people. Other people will pirate it, and it can't be regulated. I mean, you can go after the people using these things, like in the case of like AI for sexualized content. Like you can go after people for trying to do that, like the buyer for it, but there's still the market for it.
It's a bold claim, I know, but I'm excited for this one because you really can do it. And I think it's pretty cool to have a method of fighting back against these tech bro loser content thieves who cynically advertise all over the internet how easy it is to make an automated faceless channel and get rich by doing it. Let me give some.
There a user that did this. What the fuck was his name? He was like a Minecraft YouTuber who just made like an AI channel that like copied his voice and his mannerisms. I can't remember his fucking name. Moist Critical talked about him, and then the minute he did that, people just started moving away because they could tell that the product was getting worse. Yeah, I can't. I won't be able to even think of his name. Or maybe
Some
you'll pull it
background
up.
real quick because it's actually a multifaceted problem. First, on the top level, you have major AI companies who are actively harvesting as much content as they possibly can, which includes hundreds of thousands of videos across tens of thousands of YouTube channels. According to an investigation done by Proof News, co-published with Wired Magazine, back in July of 2024, Anthropic, Microsoft, and Nvidia, among others, had already scraped videos from nearly 50,000 different channels. And since then, the problem is only ever getting worse. One step down, under the publishers, you have the parasite ecosystem, which is a much more commonly visible problem for everyday viewers because thousands of people, probably more like tens or hundreds of thousands of people, have decided what if we just use these AI tools to try and make money as quickly as possible, which then leads to a barrage of channels which are stealing content, plagiarizing, and spitting out generative trash for the sake of ad dollars. You can find all sorts of different creators complaining about this because oftentimes an AI content farm will have a set of specific victims and then chronically steal their content with minimal changes, republishing it for their own channel. This is the most immediately harmful group when it comes to everyday YouTubers being impacted.
Yeah, and I don't really know if YouTube can do, or even one, I don't know if they care, because, like, I mean, they make a lot of fucking money off of videos like that. And the consumer doesn't really know the difference between the old and the new. And two, I don't think they can, or if because you gotta understand, like these are probably channels and companies from like other parts of the planet. Like if you live in a third world country where you're effectively poor or you don't have as much money, like this is just a free money hack. And I don't blame the people for doing this. Like you can just get money from this, just free money. But I do blame YouTube to an extent for allowing. Like, okay, I blame the people to an extent. I also blame YouTube to the extent. And now companies are going to have this ability to do this. So, and I mean, I guess my channel's too small to suffer this problem, but and it probably won't ever get as big as these channels you're talking about. But I mean, it's something that is always looming on the corner. I mean, AI is literally going to replace YouTubers now.
Last up, you have the bottom feeders, which is basically every other platform stealing content from YouTube and then putting it back out as blog posts or news articles or whatever. This kind of stuff is relatively insignificant because at the very least they don't directly compete with the original videos that are being stolen. So poisoning them is certainly a bonus, but it's not really the main concern. For today, the main concern is the parasite ecosystem. However, depending on what level of adoption there is, we can potentially poison all three of them, which is awesome. Now, to properly explain what this is and why it works, we need to understand what precisely the AI content thieves are doing, which is best done with an example. This right here is a small-scale representation of the problem called Cartoon Castle, which focused, prior to this, because it is kind of inactive now, but it used to focus on South Park. These videos are typically riddled with errors and various different mistakes, but the point isn't to have good content, the point is to have easy content, which is why this channel primarily stole the videos from an actual YouTuber named Johnny2Celos. We can see a ton more examples of this happening out in the wild when it comes to the science community in particular, because for some reason that's one of the industries that is hyper-infested right now. Kyle Hill has an excellent piece on this which goes into much more detail about the problem. But for right now, I'll stick with my smaller example of Cartoon Castle, just so we can get more clear on the actual process.
Yeah, and before this, like, some videos would just be straight rips from other channels and be put on farm channels. Then YouTube, to their credit, actually got good at figuring this stuff out and spotting dupe content. But now with AI, it's going to get a hell of a lot more difficult.
Not really complicated. AI slop channels using a variety of different tools, which all basically do the same thing, scrape a YouTube video for its captions. In this case, why Kenny is the most important character in South Park, which got 3.2 million views on the original, versus the AI plagiarism version called South Park's most important character. They scrape the captions and then feed those captions back into an AI model, like ChatGPT or whatever it happens to be, and make slight changes or just summarize them to make something new. Park's most important character. They scrape the plagiarism version called South Park's.
I think the guy is literally in. I think this guy was literally in the comments. Hold on.
3.2 million views on the original, versus the AI plagiarism version called South Park's most important character. They scrape the captions and then feed those captions back into an AI model.
Yeah, see, this is literally the guy right here that they scraped from. Man's like, bro, what? Like even the dude is sitting here, and he's all the way at the top, so therefore he got the most likes. Sitting there like, excuse me, huh?
Like ChatGPT or whatever it happens to be, and make slight changes or just summarize them to make something new. After that, they feed the text into an AI voiceover program, and then either steal the actual visuals from the original video directly that they copied. For the South Park example, you can see that they just cropped out the original YouTuber's watermark in the bottom left, or they use a combination of AI editing tools to spit something out for the background. Start to finish, they can take a video and republish it within a couple hours tops. But if they really go down the automation route, they can have a channel which basically does all of it for them, start to finish, by just selecting a popular existing YouTube video and feeding it into the system. Now, for the South Park example, it's obviously a huge discrepancy in viewership. The AI copy only got a few thousand views versus the original getting millions, but that's not always true. Sometimes the stolen content gets more traction than the original, and we're talking about content farm AI slop channels that have hundreds of thousands of subscribers here. And these videos are also competing for the exact same keywords, which means they're basically siphoning traction and revenue from the original video regardless. The more
Yeah, that's again yet another algorithm used that YouTubers use, that YouTube allows to use. It's like keywords, key captions, you know, things like that in order to shove a video higher than normal.
this happens, the worse it is for real creators. But what we have to remember is that the majority of AI slop traces back to some form of original content that was already produced on the platform. That's what gives us the ability to poison it.
So this is kind of an odd way for me to announce this right now, but I'm actually going to Japan for 3 weeks in March, more precisely the 3rd to the 23rd of March, which means either no videos during that time frame or maybe a couple if I manage to pre-make and schedule them. But regardless, when I do go, I'm going to be using a service called Saley, which has also agreed to be today's video sponsor, which is an eSIM application for seamless internet connectivity while traveling. I'm not very good at traveling, to be big thank you to Saley for sponsoring the channel.
Back on task. Just to be completely clear, this is happening in tons of different ways all the time. AI slop channels are scraping news articles and rewording them to make videos. They're summarizing popular videos and turning them into a bunch of YouTube shorts. They're even combining 2 or 3 different pieces of original content into shorter compilation videos, all for the sake of easy revenue. But the critical thing to be aware of is that they do this because they're lazy. AI slop channels are not painstakingly watching, understanding, transcribing, and then modifying the content that they plagiarize. They're going down the path of least resistance.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like you put in little or no effort, you get, well, as much output as possible. And in this case, I mean, views and revenue and revenue from it. I mean, that makes sense. Like, and you're going to try looking for tools to make this easier and easier and allow you to pump out more and more videos with less time needing to do it, and you know, in a way that YouTube does not pick it up. Like, it's just something that makes sense.
And what allows them to go down that path is the YouTube caption system. Now, obviously, captions are a good thing in general. It lets people read, supports those with disabilities, and I'm not advocating that people stop using them, far from it. But it turns out that there is something we can do without impacting most people that rely on captions, which simultaneously poisons the content so much that AI tools either fail to analyze it totally or produce a completely compromised and nonsensical version, even so far as to be able to make the output from your videos just straight up insulting to the people who are attempting to steal it, thereby forcing them to either do a shit ton of manual labor themselves or just stay away from your videos completely. Quick shout out, I was not the person who first discovered this. That would be a YouTuber named Fami. Definitely subscribe to her. She is absolutely fantastic. Super cool videos. It's very, very worth it. But for something like this to be effective, as many people as possible need to know about it, and they need to understand how to do it for themselves, because the more people who end up poisoning their content in some form or another, the harder it is for the slop channels to even exist. And going all the way out to an extreme example, it could turn YouTube itself into a minefield for major AI companies when it comes to training data, right, and training the LLM, unless they find new and more cost-demanding ways of scraping the videos. To be clear, it's not a permanent solution, by the way, because much the same way cybersecurity is a perpetual tug-of-war match with the hackers, AI scraping and content theft is sort of like that too. But at the very least, it's a mechanism where creators can start to push back, because for a while now it's been a really one-sided match, where content thieves were practically facing zero resistance whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, but that was the wild, wild west of the internet. And YouTube made it up to third party companies to protect their own IPs. Now, granted, you have like Konami striking, or was it Konami? Yeah, Konami striking down like Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments where people literally just go to tournaments and show their decks, and that's just fucking crazy. But yeah, I mean, and YouTube benefits from things that are technically against the rules of YouTube, but because I think it's Section 230, where they're a platform, not a publisher, but other publishers can pressure YouTube to enforce the rules, so they act like a publisher, but they have the defense of a platform. Like, because of this, like, you do have companies and the advertisers unionizing to pressure them, because at the time YouTube was pretty damn big, and it is still big, which is why there's so many damn sponsors, and why the AI slop channels are using YouTube in this way, because I mean, it is like, you wouldn't farm in a place that, like, if you're playing Warframe, you would never farm EXP in an area that gives less EXP than another. Like, I mean, it just wouldn't make any sense. Like, obviously, you're going to farm the area that gives you the most EXP. Like, here, they're farming an area like YouTube that guarantees the most revenue with the least amount of effort, and YouTube's a fucking gold mine for things like these.
In the short term, on a much more realistic level, it deals damage to plagiarism slop channels, and it's all thanks to a creative use of the caption system discovered by Fami, which hides information in the video and makes it basically poisonous for AI. Take a look at this. These are two identical uploads, unlisted on my channel. I'll put links down below in the description. One titled Feed the Machine, the other titled Poison the Machine. Both of these videos are functionally the same. It's a 42-second poem about how amazing artificial intelligence is for humanity. But if you feed these videos into any of the typical AI summarizing or transcription tools, you get wildly different results. For today, I'm using crisp.ai, comb.ai, and galaxy.ai as basic examples. But every other tool that I also tested while making the video either failed to transcribe the poisoned version at all, which was pretty common, or spat out similar gibberish because the poisoning method actually works. Let me show you. Crisp spits out a text file summary of the video that you give to it, and this is what the file says for Feed the Machine, my 42-second non-poisoned poem that's praising AI. Quote, AI is depicted as a transformative force that brings thought and light, acting as a guiding presence in the various aspects of life, end quote. I won't read the whole thing, but it's basically summarizing my little trashy poem correctly as well. And if we move over to a transcription tool, comb.ai, we can see an actual word-for-word transcript, which is pretty much accurate in terms of what I said. Last up is Galaxy, and this one also apparently turns it into a blog post with like a fake writer or author for it and everything. Massively expanding.
Yeah, so this effectively turns it into like a news outlet type style.
How much text is there to do it? But the point is that my poem, Feed the Machine, when it gets scraped by these AI tools, doesn't really present them with any problems. Now let's switch over. This is Poison the Machine. Same poem, same words, same everything, same audio, literally everything. Except this time, if I analyze it with crisp.ai, the text file that it spits out looks like this. Quote, the discussion begins by framing Silicon Valley as a collective toilet, a metaphor that encapsulates the social, environmental, and economic issues associated with the region, end quote. Again, I won't read the whole thing. It's on screen right now if you want to. And it's painfully over-embellished by the AI program to sound smarter and more eloquent than it actually is. But my little 42-second poem is now a giant convoluted explanation of why Silicon Valley is America's toilet. If we switch over to Comb, directly transcribing it, we see this, which is a massive text dump of not only why Silicon Valley is a toilet, but also why the Earth's core isn't actually rock or metal, it's human shit. Because this video has been poisoned, not only against AI, but also the lazy people who use AI to steal content for them. Keep in mind, the videos are functionally indistinguishable from each other. You're not seeing different subtitles here, because the viewer experience is pretty much unimpacted by any of this. However, the resulting effect on AI is that one of them is an accurate summary of the actual content, while the other is whatever I want it to be.
That's interesting. Like, does it have to do with, like, the title? I don't know, like it's poison and something else. What was the other thing? Like that, I guess those are kind of. What was the other one? Feed. I mean, those kind of mean different things.
Properly, which I did think lasers are often extremely pretentious and kind of self-glorifying for some reason. So it didn't really seem to like summarizing the content properly, which I did think was kind of funny. Anyway, this can be done with any video on none of that is that the Earth's core against do with what it doesn't matter, because the end result is that someone using that content in some sort of automatic AI pipeline to steal content for YouTube will output a completely garbage video from it that has nothing to do with what they think it does and doesn't compete with the original at all. If we jump over to galaxy.ai, however, the resulting effect on AI is that one of them is an accurate summary of the actual content, while the other is whatever I want it to be. Gibberish, insults, completely incoherent rambling, it doesn't matter, because the end result is that someone using that content in some sort of automatic AI pipeline to steal content for YouTube will output a completely garbage video from it that has nothing to do with what they think it does and doesn't compete with the original at all. If we jump over to galaxy.ai, the same little poem is now this pompous, self-indulgent blog post attempting to explain how the idea that the Earth's core is filled with...
Or does it try to correlate the words being said with the title and the captions? We'll see.
Human waste is a hyperbolic reflection on how society deals with its own wastefulness, both literally and metaphorically, when none of that is actually in the video. And also, no, it was literally an argument that scientists are idiots and the center of the Earth is filled with shit. These summarizers are often extremely pretentious and kind of self-glorifying for some reason, so it didn't really seem to like summarizing the content properly, which I did think was kind of funny. Anyway, this can be done with any video on all of YouTube, as long as you have access to subtitle tracks. And the method itself is pretty simple. I find it incredibly satisfying, actually, because you get to use the same AI tools that are being used to steal your content in order to make it poisonous for them, so anyone who comes after you and tries to skim your work gets a dose of whatever narrative you want to feed to them, which I think is fantastic. I'll go through it right now. Step 1 is to take whatever video it is that you want to poison and feed it into an automatic subtitle generator. In this case, I used HappyScribe, which then spits out an SRT file, which is a subrip subtitle file.
So we kind of used a separate type of programming file to do it.
That contains a pretty decent baseline subtitle track for the content. That's step 1. And of course, you can edit it and take out the mistakes, and you can put as much work as you want to into this process, but I'm just going to give you the rudimentary one for the moment. Step 2 is to use a conversion tool. In my case, I used ebby.co to make the SRT file an ASS file, .ass. Fami has way more explanation in her video about what these file types are and why you do this, and it's super entertaining and well done on top of that, so you should absolutely go watch it. But the simple version is that the .ass file has a lot more customization options. Step 3 is to open the .ass file in whatever editing program you want to. I used agsub, all the links will be down below in the description, obviously, and go through adding subtitle lines in between all of the legitimate subtitles by just right-click add before or after in between all of them. Once that's done, you have to put a command that looks like this, right? A bracketed command for positioning in front of all those new blank lines, which basically moves the subtitles way off of the screen because position is one of the functions that the .ass files have, which other subtitle formats don't have.
That seems like a very convoluted way. Like, I do believe this will work, but that just seems too convoluted. Like, I mean, what would be interesting is having an AI that does all this for you. I mean, you're using some sort of generative tool to have things like these done. So you're using AI to fight AI, which is smart. Again, you're using the tool to fight the people that are using the tool to fight to fuck with you. But I mean, it's a little bit too convoluted.
Then we get to the fun part. Hop on over to ChatGPT or whatever LLM you want to use and ask it to generate some sort of incoherent garbage or insulting story or, I don't know, literally anything you want. Big Bird is a cult leader bringing about the apocalypse. Purple Rain actually has nothing to do with music. It's giant Smurfs peeing on everybody. Genuinely, the sky's the limit. Funny story with that, actually. After I did a bunch of experiments with this using the Silicon Valley toilet example, I came back the next day and it kept telling me that the exact same prompt was now a violation of their terms. I don't think the tech bros liked the fact that someone made the chatbot generate an essay that was insulting to them, which is hilarious, but anyway. Once you have the incoherent rambling, or the insults, or the gibberish, or whatever it is, you go back and you paste it, paragraph by paragraph, into the empty subtitle lines, and then you save the file, and use this converter, available on GitHub, to turn your .ass file into a .ytt file, which is YouTube's actual supported subtitle format. But by doing this, you keep the formatting that you had from the previous version, that is, the placement of the subtitles relative to the screen. Lastly, you go to the same video that you originally got the subtitles from, and you upload the YTT track, deleting any other automatic subtitles afterward, and poof, you now have a video that displays normal subtitles to your audience, depending on whether or not there's minor spelling mistakes, is just whether or not you want to fix them. But it works, it looks normal to the audience, but also contains off-screen giant paragraphs of gibberish all over the place, tricking the AI summary or transcription tools into thinking that your little 42-second poem, in my case, is really 10 minutes of rambling about how Silicon Valley is America's toilet.
That is very interesting. But also very convoluted. But yeah, I mean, using a tool to defend yourself, this is a good application of technology. And again, if there's an AI that does things like this, that'd be awesome. Like, having the person or having the individual, like, I don't know, the AI channels have to do a lot of bullshit just to try to stop it, just, to make it difficult for them to do it. Only to have them be like, well, fuck it, why would we ever do it to this channel? Like, that's very useful if it's something that's happening to you.
And the center of the earth is human shit. Any of the AI slop channels that now use this video for their automatic pipeline without checking, like a human being looking at it and checking all of it, will output complete nonsense. Even if they do check, they can't do anything about it unless they spend their own precious time and money actually watching and transcribing based on what you say in the video. And maybe they can go find a transcription tool which listens to the actual audio, which does exist. There are tools like that. But they'll probably have to buy yet another subscription to do that. And you can do this in subtle ways. You don't have to be blatantly obvious about it. You can have a video that is like a sandwich. The first third looks normal, the last third looks normal, and the middle third is just completely destroyed with incoherent trash, right? Like, you can be, pretty nefarious with how you poison these videos. On a larger scale, for the models scraping YouTube content every single day for the purpose of training data, this can make a science video into an hour-long nonsense rant about Beanie Babies. You can take a video about math equations or coding and pollute it with a badly written screenplay about invisible Keebler elves or whatever you can possibly imagine, using badly written AI slop to protect your own content from the AI slop content thieves.
Exactly, and this is something that, again, someone needs to make a program or something where you can dump your file into this and it does all of that for you. Like, I think that would be fucking amazing. You know, instead of like you skip like the 3 steps and make it just one, like, that'd be fucking huge.
Genius. And at the very least, it will sift out the lowest common denominator and make stealing your videos a whole heck of a lot more difficult for the average person. You might see flashes of white text at the top of the screen for a split second here and there on the mobile version of the videos where this was done, but it really just comes down to tweaking the subtitles. Move them further off screen with a different command, use different line breaks, etc., etc. There's definitely more ways to do it, but the ability for any YouTuber out there to take a video right now and effectively poison it against the slop farmers and the AI scrapers and the thieves, in my view, is incredibly valuable. And I want to once again show appreciation for Fami, who spent a tremendous amount of time and creativity coming up with all this. At the end of the day, the problem of lazy AI-fueled plagiarism is only ever increasing. But now there's a method of, let's say, vaccinating your content against them, sort of. And the landscape of what it looks like will obviously change over time. But right now, it's incredibly simple, and it seems pretty effective for the amount of effort required. For the channels out there who have been specifically grappling with someone stealing massive amounts of your content, please do consider doing this, because, at least short term, it will directly negatively impact the people that are stealing from you. And they've been impacting you negatively this entire time, so yeah, anytime you can do something to strike back, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's so odd that the YouTubers need to do this. Like, again, this is something YouTube should absolutely be doing something about, or at least try to do something about, because, I mean, I can see YouTube looking at your video, and if they see all the edits you do, like, I can see them coming after you for doing all this, but not after the slop AI channels. But because, I mean, I did a video about all the problems that YouTube has with other things. Like, they have a bad habit of attacking legitimate YouTubers while doing nothing, and in some cases even promoting, you know, the channels that do nefarious and harmful shit.
That's it. If you want to support the channel, check out the links down below. The video sponsor, of course, Saley. Also a special VPN deal, locals and Patreon, monthly memberships, and more, but I'll cut it there and stop rambling. As always, thank you all for watching, question everything, and have a nice night.
Yeah, and again, there has to be simpler ways to combat this, because if YouTube's not going to do it, obviously you're going to have people finding ways and finding out how to do it themselves. So it begins a great war between content creators and slop farmers. Yep, the shadow warfare. I am disgusted at the amount of AI voice channels that involve animals getting rescued when it's obviously staged or taken from other channels that actually do the work. Yeah. Stop using social media, stop posting photos and videos, limit using voice search and voice messages, support highly quality journalism even if it's paywall. The AI thieves thrive off free content. And it's quality and diversity. If we stop feeding the machine, it will regurgitate its own vomit in the end. Be wise, folks. Yeah, I mean, that's saying things, but I do believe combating these bad actors is useful and effective. People complaining about how DeepSeek AI is censored and not allowed to criticize China and its government, and then you see ChatGPT becoming censored in real time because someone hurt the developer's feelings. Yeah, you gotta understand, right? Censorship is the product, right? That's the thing. And you would think between an uncensored AI and a censored AI, people always just choose the uncensored AI because it's quicker, it doesn't have to jump through a lot of hoops and filters, and it's funny and memey and people like it. But no, the censorship is the product. That's why I stopped using the thing that created characters for voice bot shit, like through like inputs, because they neutered all the characters I created. Like motherfucker, I created goddamn Liberty Prime from Fallout 3, and he would say the things that you would think Liberty Prime would, but you know, they neutered the fuck out of him, and they killed my boy. And I'm like, then I realized, and like people would try to find ways how to break the AI, and they would know this, so they would implement those things. And it was just this back and forth between people trying to break the AI, effectively people trying to fuck the AI, and the people that make the AI fucking with you. And at one point, I'm like, man, why am I doing this? This is so stupid. One of the most powerful tools to tap on the three dots in the corner of them. Click do not recommend channels from the list. Don't comment or click on either thumb. Just don't recommend channel. Yeah, there's ways to combat these slop channels. And also, you know, follow a lot of people you like, because the more people that you like and are interested in that genuinely like the less slop channels, because every time some video hits this right here, even if you don't click on it, like YouTube will know that, oh, well, we can still have this on the side and this channel on the side. So many AI history channels now. Yeah, because it's lowbrow slop. Just people talking. Had to pause here just to laugh. This is brilliant. Yeah, is this the one where...
Rock or metal, it's human shit. Because this video has been poisoned, not only against AI, but also the lazy people who use AI to steal content for them.
Got him. I want... Someone needs to timestamp the dude having his shit stolen and being like, bro, what? That was hype. Chilios.
Named Johnny 2 Celos. We can see a ton more examples of this.
Yeah. But anyway, that's all I gotta say about this. Peace.